There could be other people inside the United States who have no direct attachment to any of the countries in the region that are still angry. And their anger, though, boils over into the desire to commit an act of violence. So the attack in Austin, Texas appears to be what one would consider a lone offender attack or a lone wolf. We still don't yet know all the motivations for this person, but even the initial reporting seems to suggest that they may have been angry about what has happened overseas between Iran and Israel and the United States. And because of that anger, felt like this was now the moment to conduct an attack against innocent civilians in Austin, Texas. So that this type in these types of attacks, the person is usually radicalized for a while, but then something happens either within their own life or in their own mind or externally overseas, and they shift from being radicalized to then mobilizing to an attack, and that clearly is what occurred here. So, but we don't know all the details of this person, but I would put this in the lone offender category or homegrown inspired terrorism category. This does not appear to be an attack directed by Iran or Hezbollah at this point. Well, that may be one of the reasons for the attack in Austin, Texas, but again, we don't yet know all of the details. There could be other people inside the United States who have no direct attachment to any of the countries in the region that are being affected, but are still angry. And their anger, though, boils over into the desire to commit an act of violence or an act of terrorism. And so there could be more of these, but it's obviously very difficult to know the answer to that. But this is why this type of lone offender terrorism is very hard to predict, because you're dealing with single individuals who are not formally part of terrorist groups or networks. They generally almost never are communicating with known terrorist subjects overseas, and that they just sort of plan these things on their own. Well, it all depends on what they're seeing at the crime scene itself. So whether the person who was the attacker, what do they know about that person? What do they know about that person's life based on any electronic media that has been recovered or any kind of social media activity that they've now been able to observe, interviews with other witnesses at the attack scene, or interviews with the family and friends of the attacker themselves, or associates and co-workers. So it always takes time to sort of build these investigative pictures together, but there must have been something early on that made the FBI sort of come out with that kind of public statement. Again, there could be more of these or more attempts in the coming days, but I would have to think this is something the Trump administration was thinking through in the run-up to launching the campaign. Is what would be the reaction of people here inside the United States? Would we see this kind of terrorism? If so, how do you try to spot it or detect it or warn the American public about it?